You're gonna let me know when we're live, right?
We're going right now.
Alright.
Okay.
Alright, folks. Welcome to Retro Reload, episode 8 or 9. Doesn't even matter, it's not that kind of a show. But this is the West Coast edition, and if you guessed that today is the show all about Hello Kitty for the Famicom, and the various comic books, shows, and movies that it spun off, you're in luck.
No, not Hello Kitty. Talk about
What do you
these
mean,
guys.
Hello Kitty? I bought the game, I got all the, like...
No,
What you
talk
got
about
there?
Ninja Turtles.
Ninja Turtles.
Oh!
I'm excited for Hello
Yeah.
Kitty.
Come on.
Ninja Turtles, I know them.
Yes.
They're the world's most fearsome fighting teens.
Yeah, they're heroes in a half show. And of course, and they're green.
Whoa. Dude, I heard that when the evil Shredder attacks, those turtle boys don't cut him no slack.
No, they don't. They're the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, you know, it was Splinter, actually, I believe, that taught them to be ninja teens.
Yeah, he's a radical rat.
Yeah, I also heard, from what I understand, Leonardo, he leads, and Donatello does machines. Not too
That's a
sure what
fact
that
check.
means, but that's what he does.
Yeah, but that is a fact check.
Yep. So then you got Raphael, he's cool, but from what I hear, he can be kind of rude. And then Michelangelo, man, he's just a party dude.
Yes, he
So.
is. That's why they're the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, you know?
Yeah, they're the heroes in the half shell. Turtle power.
Woo! There's your
All right.
turtle power.
I am so jealous of that shirt.
It's actually Gamera blasting away the Ninja Turtles, but
Nice. Today's episode is about Ninja Turtles, but before we get to that, we're going to
Yes.
cover some current event stuff. We're going to cover some pickup stuff. And then we're going to come back to Ninja Turtles and various things, 90s.
yeah. Because most of us really lived through the 90s.
So, Redbearded Gamer, what did we say we had going on in the world of current events?
Alright, the first topic is Zelda has been delayed for the Wii U till next year, I believe.
Yeah, Zelda Wii U was delayed. First, who is surprised by this information? Anybody?
No, not at all.
I mean, when I heard them announce it, we went from, nothing to, there's a Zelda game, and it will be released in the second half of 2015. I'm like, dude, you are
That's
out
what
of
I
your
thought.
mind. I mean, either they have, Zelda games that are just, sitting there, waiting to be released, just at the drop of a button, or drop of a hat, I guess, right? Oh, there's a Zelda game. or they were full of crap. But I think they were trying to, at the time when they announced Zelda, how do you guys think? I mean, the Wii U hasn't really been, the stigma's that it hasn't really been doing that great. So I think they announced Zelda as kind of a way to tell people, wait, hang on, if you haven't bought a console yet, get one now. And if you've got one, don't sell it because we got stuff coming. I think it was a way for them to kind of save face, and now it's kind of turned into a, oops, we announced that too soon.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I could agree on
I
that
didn't
one,
know
too.
there was a game coming out, so it said, oh, there's a delay. I was like, whoa, I didn't know there was one coming out.
Yeah, there's been a lot of that. I'd kind of honestly forgotten that the Wii U even existed until it was getting so much, it was getting so much flack for being lackluster. And then suddenly I was like, oh yeah, there's a Wii U, and I looked into it and was like, wow, it's pretty cool. So I actually picked it up based on people just talking about it not being very popular. But certainly I didn't see a plethora of advertising or muscle behind it before that. It was kind of a sleeper console.
I do want one, though.
Yeah.
And Zelda's going to motivate me to buy it sooner.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do want to say, like, the videos that I've seen of it, and on all the Nintendo Directs, the video and the gameplay footage so far looks amazing on what they've done so far.
I haven't looked.
Hmm.
So if you haven't seen that footage, you're definitely going to want to check it out. What was our other topic that we had for?
Also, it's the new system, the Nintendo NX.
Yes, the system that we only know the name of, right?
If that's the actual name of it.
Or yeah,
Oh, it's a code name.
supposed name.
Yeah, I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts? I kind of lump this into the same category as Zelda, for Wii U. Like, too soon, guys, too soon.
Yeah, I agree. It's way too soon. I don't even have a Wii U yet. I gotta like prepare for a second system.
Well, I think the announcement was more to kind of, I guess, put to bed fears that they were getting out of the console market because of the whole the mobile announcement. I think it was more just to say, oh wait, no, we're still good. We're just doing this too, kind of thing.
That's a
I
good
think
point, because I think a lot of people gave them flack for not going into mobile, right? So then they decide to dip their toe into mobile, and suddenly everybody's like, oh, they're not going to make consoles anymore. It's like, guys, come on. How long has this company been around? I don't think that they just... The reality is, I think, mobile is going to come, hit a peak, and then at some point, it's just not going to be... It still may maintain its relevancy, but something else is going to come along that will, either unseat it or pull us away from it onto something else for half our time. And I think Nintendo knows, just like consoles and portable consoles had their day, mobile's going to have its time, and then some other thing will come along that'll just take all of our attention, like the Retro Reload podcast or something.
Well, I think a lot of people's fear is like, oh, mobile gaming is going to replace consoles. I'm like, that's never going to happen because people want to sit there and play big games on the phone. I don't.
Yeah, I mean, even if you've got like an iPhone 6 Plus or something, I mean, okay, yeah, I'm not going to go blind like playing a game because the screen's big enough, but my thumbs and stuff don't really like...
That guy sucks.
Yeah, Gorilla Glass and touch really sucks. It's actually painful to game on that for an extended period of time, I've found.
Because I'll play one mobile game, that's Clash of Clans.
I haven't gotten into that one because I heard it's like a money sink, but...
Yeah, the only thing I play is Simpsons Tapped Out. That's really about it.
That I played not Tapped Out, but they actually had a like a Simpsons arcade game kind of homage that came out on the iPhone, and you can't buy it anymore. EA pulled it because the license ran out.
Yeah.
But it was a decent little, it wasn't really a remake of the arcade game, but it played a lot like the arcade game, and only the graphics were way up-res. So it was like a 720p, love letter to the original arcade game. But so yeah, that's a Nintendo NX, right? They announced it. We still don't really know anything about it. I think you're right, Tyler. I think you nailed it. They're probably just trying to get people. I hadn't thought about that. They're probably just trying to get people to not be worried that they're pulling out of the console market. And maybe there's also a little bit of a, I get the feeling that they're being a little bit apologetic for the Wii U. Like, hey guys, hang on, wait. There's something better coming along, we promise.
I guess we'll see at E3 for sure what's going on.
I don't think they'll even show anything at E3.
Well, I'm talking about their lineup for Wii U, what's coming out. That's what I meant.
Yeah, I'm really stoked for actually Mario Maker. I really want to see that game come out.
When I saw that last year, I was like, I need a Wii U for that right there.
Yeah, and they absolutely better give us a Metroid Prime on Wii U.
Yeah, at this point, I'd take anything, really.
Just give us a game, right?
Yeah, I mean, I bought the Wii U at launch. I love it and everything, but I don't have any games. I have more of the eShop games than I have physical games.
Yeah, that's definitely fair enough. I absolutely agree. I lucked out in that I bought the console late, and when I bought it, I got it in a bundle off of somebody on Atari Age with a whole bunch of Virtual Console games already on it, and about 8 complete in-box Wii U games like Mario Kart 8 Super Mario 3D World and all that stuff. So I kind of got it with a backlog, and fortunately I haven't caught up on it yet. But if I bought it at launch, oh my goodness, I'd be bored out of my mind with it.
Yeah, I mean, I've been playing the Lego Marvel superheroes forever because that's the last game I bought, and there's nothing else to play, you know.
Yeah, yeah. So
one more thing before we move on.
Go ahead.
Did you guys see the Super Mario 64 HD remake made by a student?
No,
Yes.
I didn't.
I've heard about it.
No.
I haven't seen it.
It looks pretty good for a student making it, and he didn't have that much time to make it, but it looked good. So I recommend checking it out. I have it on standby if you want to screen share it real quick.
Sure.
No, let's go ahead and give him. Can we give him the screen share for a moment?
All
Let's go there.
let's see. Yeah, screen share. There we go. Okay, full screen. All right, can you guys see it?
Yes. There we go.
This is for the PC, right?
I assume it's for PC because the student made it. It's for like a class project, I believe.
Well, that's pretty cool.
That's
Did
it.
he
You
mention
guys
what he
can check
did
it out
in?
later.
Did he do it in like Unity or something like that?
Yeah, and the star said created by Unity.
Nice.
Was hoping on a flag for that one.
Well, we didn't play any music. If we're gonna get flagged for anything this episode, it's gonna be the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles opening that we did. But
Well, we've done one, so I guess we get flagged twice.
I'm gonna say until I actually get the cease and desist, I'm gonna say worth it.
Alright.
So
I'll show you guys that because I saw that yesterday. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool, actually.
yeah, there's another game that I'm gonna show a little bit later today where I'm gonna have the sound off because I don't know where they got the music from, but it sounds like a musical artist that we don't have the permission of. So I'm not gonna push my luck. The Ninja Turtles cartoon theme, you know, we're only playing a segment of it, and it's all in the context of the show. So I'm hoping that we can do that one. But
So we'll find out.
yeah. So on the subject of pickups, yes, I did actually import Hello Kitty World from Japan. But I'm gonna give people this episode to laugh at me for being a 36-year-old guy that bought Hello Kitty.
Oh,
What's going on over there,
here.
Mr. Nikon?
I got bad food.
Nice. You know, see, like, Mr. Nikon's always got something going on over at his place that makes me wish I was there instead.
My favorite one was Donkey Kong Country. My friends were over.
Yeah.
My goodness. Yes, I did actually buy Hello Kitty World for the Famicom. I'm going to give you guys this episode to laugh at me about it. And then in a future episode, I'm going to tell you why Hello Kitty World is the awesomest game you've never had in your collection.
Well, we need a whole episode to laugh at you. I mean,
yeah,
There's nothing really wrong with Hello Kitty.
there's plenty of reasons, but yeah, there's a reason. There's a reason I bought a Hello Kitty video game. When I first saw it, I was like,
Have you actually played it?
and then I looked it up. But along with that same order that I got, I also got King Kong 2, which is kind of cool. It's like an Akari Warriors or a Guerrilla War, only you're King Kong, and instead of shooting stuff, you punch people.
sounds
Awesome.
fun.
So, yeah, so it's pretty good.
What system is it for?
Also, this was for the Famicom. What's also pretty cool about it,
Okay.
and maybe in a future episode I'll show some footage of it and stuff, but it has an overworld and an underworld, and when you go into the underworld dungeons, both in music and in layout, you can definitely see where there's a lot of nods to the original Legend of Zelda.
Really?
Yeah, so the dungeons in this look a lot and sound a lot like the dungeons in Legend of Zelda. So that's pretty neat. And this was only, both these games were only released in Japan. So this last game, I don't remember what the title is, and I don't know how to pronounce it, but what's really cool, and this just ties into what I mentioned last time about if you're going to order stuff, try to order it off of a collector, and don't necessarily just buy all your stuff off of eBay. My goodness. That bite was so huge it gave you the camera to show the bite. That's impressive, Mr. Nikon. That's impressive. But this particular game, it's a platformer, only released in Japan. I don't know the name of it. I actually did not. I bought the first two games, King Kong and Hello Kitty, and I bought games from that gentleman before. I bought Kid Dracula and the other Famicom stuff I showed a couple episodes ago. And he said, dude, I got like 5 copies of this. Here, I'm going to send you one. It's a pretty good platformer, and you've probably never played it. So, again, if you're ordering from folks that are fellow collectors, you're going to see stuff like that. Yeah, from time to time. I thought that was really cool. And I need to make a correction. Last time I said that the gentleman I bought it from was an American living in Japan. I was not correct. He is a Canadian living in Japan. So, to all the citizens of Canada, I apologize.
Canada.
All right.
There goes our one viewer.
There goes our one viewer. They were from Canada. Dang it. Dang it. All right. So, Mr. Nikon.
Yes.
This was your baby, right? A whole episode about Ninja Turtles.
Yes.
So do you want to fire this off?
It's something I grew up watching. Since I was a kid. I know a lot of us here grew up with this. Because we're of that age of growing up with this. And I remember first watching the cartoons on the CBS Saturday morning cartoons when they first came out way back in what was that, 87, 88? And from there, yeah, it was like one of the most awesome cartoons I've ever seen. So then a movie came out, and then of course all the games that came out. You had the first Ninja Turtles game, which just came out in.
I actually have that one.
This one, yeah.
That one is an a-hole.
Very difficult. Yes.
That game, yeah. I can legit, without a Game Genie, I can get all the way to Shredder with one friggin' bar of health and my last turtle, and then I just die. Like, I say, oh, that's Shredder. Hey, I'm dead.
I've never got that far.
That game is... I beat Blaster Master, Ninja Gaiden. I could get all the way to the last level in Battletoads. I cannot beat Turtles. There's just no way. I beat Battletoads before I beat Ninja Turtles. That's just the reality.
Yeah.
Good game, just hard as hell.
Oh yeah. The whole thing started as a comic book. 1984 the first one came out.
It was Dark Horse, right? Dark Horse Comics.
I'm not sure. I think that is IDW. Is a company.
I'll look it up. I'll look it up. But yeah, you're right. Originally a comic, a pretty dark comic too. It wasn't, it wasn't like a kid comic when it first came out.
No. It's I've looked at like the first editions, and those are going for a few $1,000s. So they're not cheap to like they're in pristine condition. I've seen them go for like $3,000 or $4,000. I did just purchase the one of the most recent ones. Where I don't know if you guys have heard about
Mirage Studios.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Mirage Studios. The comic book came out in 1984. And it's run from 1984 to 2010, and I think with the movie that just recently came out, I think they've actually rebooted the comic series too.
Okay.
Dark Horse was one that made a 15mm LED figurines. Pointless. They made
Yeah.
toy.
You know, I like, you know, what was it, from the cartoon? How, you know, how it totally differs from, you know, the comic and the movies. How a Splinter, he was a human who touched, who dealt with rats, and when he got mutated, he turned into a rat because he touched a rat. It was the last thing he came in contact with. So I guess since the Turtles were with him, they kind of took on human characteristics. That's how they mutated. But you know, from the comic books and you know the movies, you know, Splinter was always a rat that mutated to have like human characteristics. You know, that's one of the you know the inaccuracies between the two, which is always, you know, as a kid you watch a cartoon and you see the movie like how come they're different?
Yeah, that's frustrating when they do that.
Yeah, I thought I guess we can jump right to the movie. So we'll probably just be bouncing back and forth the whole show. But one of the things that I thought was really interesting, since you've mentioned the differences, is that even the new movie, there were some differences in the origin lore from the original movies, from the comic book, from the cartoon. And one of the things I thought that they did really well, and maybe, first of all, has everybody here seen the movie, or has anybody here not seen the movie?
I haven't seen the movie because I thought it was
the most recent one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen the most recent one. Yes.
Okay, so we're gonna avoid spoilers because Red hasn't.
Oh, you can do spoilers. It's fine.
But I am gonna say, and maybe I end up being in the minority because so far of all my friends here, I'm in the minority. I love the movie. I saw the movie with my son at the drive-in the day that it came out. We have a drive-in right at the bottom of the hill. And for $10, I got like a big tub of popcorn, like the size of the passenger seat of my car. And my son and I just sat there in the front seat of the car watching Ninja Turtles. And there was a whole bunch of other video game junkies and stuff, a whole bunch of stuff. Folks from, it's called Rockage San Jose. There's like a whole group. It's like there's bands in it, there's artists in it, there's developers in it, and just gamers. And every now and then they'll have these events and stuff. And this was Rockage San Jose seeing Ninja Turtles in the drive-thru. So what was cool is before the movie even started, we all kind of parked together, and we had like a rave, like a little rave going with like a giant parachute and like a beach ball. There's a guy playing the acoustic version of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on his guitar, and we had free pizza and soda. And, you know, maybe that kind of set the stage for the movie for me, but when I started to watch the movie, I really didn't have a lot of expectations. I wanted to see turtles that were teenagers doing ninjutsu. And the movie delivered on all three of those things. Yet, when the movie was over, I seemed to be the only one among that group that didn't feel like, you know, Michael Bay had completely destroyed their childhood. What were your thoughts, Tyler?
I saw it with my nephew and my niece, and they're pretty young, so they're into it now. You know, they didn't realize that it was kind of an old thing, so they loved it. You know, I kind of went in just because I was never a huge Turtles fan. I mean, I saw the old movies, I watched the cartoons, you know. I never had any of the toys or anything because I was a little... that stuff came out when I was just a little too old for it. So, I mean, I was still a part of it, but not as much as my friends who were a year or two younger than me. They really loved it, you know. So, I mean, the movie was fine. You know, I had no beef with it, really. Just... okay. I don't know.
Yeah. Now, I'm not... I definitely don't want people to think... I don't think it's like the best movie ever made, but I definitely got the impression, like, from some of my friends, just like how like violently disgusted they were with the movie. You know, I'm like, what did you expect? Like Memento? Did you expect Inception? Like, what level of story and character and you know, how many plot twists did you really anticipate there was going to be in, you know, a Ninja Turtles movie? Right? The plot twist is they're Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That's the whole plot twist.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Nikon, what
really does good on superhero movies.
Oh, I'm sorry. What was that, Red?
I said Hollywood rarely does good superhero type movies anyway.
Yeah, I gotta say, Red, this one's worth a watch. Maybe if you're on the fence about it, but you got like Netflix, it's worth having Netflix send you the DVD or the Blu-ray.
I'll try to watch it tonight on Netflix if it's on there.
Yep. So, Mr. Nikon, what do you think? A good recommendation, bad recommendation? Am I just off my rocker?
I don't know. I haven't seen a new one yet. Also, so I haven't had a chance to see the new one yet. I don't go to many movies. So.
Well,
but
all I will say, because I don't want to give a spoiler out and everything, but what I will say in terms of differences from comic book and cartoon, they went more of the lore of the cartoon series, but then they still made some tweaks, and I guess about as much of it as I'll say is they actually made April O'Neil have a purpose in being connected with the Ninja Turtles. It wasn't just she's, a reporter and they happen to be Ninja Turtles. She needs a story and they're providing a story. They tried to go a bit deeper than that, and I really appreciated actually the fact that they tried to really build in more backstory to these characters, build in more purpose to these characters. Because one of the things that always bugged me about April O'Neil, okay, if you go the direction of April O'Neil, like, is capturing all this footage about the Turtles and putting it all out there, then, okay, not only is she the greatest, most famous reporter of all time, because she's got all this, like, Ninja Turtle footage and stuff, but the Ninja Turtles are then, like, by fact that they're all over television, the worst ninjas of all time, because ninjas are supposed to be all, like, stealth and secret and, all that kind of stuff. And on the flip side, if you go the thing where, like, April doesn't divulge any of that information, right? She keeps the secret. She's like the worst reporter of all time, and really has no reason to be involved in any of the Turtles' stories because who are you going to tell it to? Who are you going to share it with, right? You've got all this fantastic stuff happening around you, and you can't tell anybody. So no matter how you try to spin that story, it's really difficult to have a character like April involved in a way that isn't just, shark bait, like save me, save me. But I thought the movie did a good job of giving her a legitimate purpose and reason for being in the show.
Well, my impression was that the latest movie was based on the latest cartoon series, I guess. Do you know if that's true? I don't know.
That could be. I have to admit, I am out of the loop on current gen Turtle stuff.
So am I. Yeah.
Other than the movie.
Okay.
But I can ask my son. My son would certainly know more about that than me. Although he's currently plowing through the original cartoon series from Netflix. They keep sending us DVDs with about 4 or 5 episodes of pop on them. So.
Check out right there.
Nice.
Missing a few, but.
Which ones are you missing?
4, 5, 6, and 7.
So guys, this isn't going to be too much of a spoiler because you probably already knew this, but so far, what every movie has failed to deliver on, for me, Krang. Where the hell is Krang?
I heard rumors he's maybe in the next one.
I really hope so. There is going to be a sequel to the current Ninja Turtles movie franchise. They are doing another one. Also, Red, if this helps you, I know a lot of people panned Ninja Turtles because it was made by Michael Bay. Here's actually a little bit of an update. It is not made by Michael Bay.
He was a producer, right?
He was the producer, which basically means he was the 600-pound gorilla that made sure that the movie was funded and finished hell or high water. However, he was not the director. He did not offer, too much in the way of guidance in that. It was totally, he let the folks that were making it make it their thing. He just provided the momentum and the capital and the connections to make sure it would happen.
And the name, yeah.
Yeah, and the name. So which kind of worked for them and against them. Like, everybody that loved Transformers went to go see Ninja Turtles. Anybody that thought Transformers was, like, not really that great.
Everyone's good enough of that.
So, yeah, a lot of people, because of the Transformers 2, 3, etc., just panned Turtles, which is a shame because I thought it's definitely worth a watch. If you saw the first 3 movies, this one's easily better than the first 3. and there's plenty of nods in the movie to the first three. Like, Mr. Nikon, do you remember the scene where Leonardo's slicing up the pizza and a piece lands on Splinter's face?
Oh yeah.
That is in this movie.
Nice.
So it was really cool because there were nods to the cartoon, there were nods to the television show, or not the television show. I'm sorry, the movie,
Cartoons.
the original set of movies. They didn't just pretend that all that other stuff never happened. There were pieces of the original stuff there, but at the same time, none of it ever felt rehashed. It was very subtle. Like, you could easily miss that was a nod to a previous film.
Yeah. What's about the original one is it's always confused me. You know, the guy's always, you know, he gets a Domino's pizza delivered in the movie, but on the VHS they have that Pizza Hut commercial in the beginning of the movie. You know.
Yeah, I think it's always interesting when product placement doesn't quite, you know, come through like you think it will, right?
Yeah.
So all the games too, right? Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game for the NES. That was all Pizza Hut, right?
Yes.
Yeah, there's a little Pizza Hut signs in there. Which I got, you know, issues of this game. You know, they call this the arcade game. When you have the actual arcade game, you can play 4 players, and this you can do 2. Even though the NES had the 4-player adapter, so.
Yeah, actually, if you want to play, I'm going to try to pull it up right now. If you want to play 4-player Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and you want to play the actual arcade game, if you pick up, I believe it's the second Ninja Turtles game that came out for the Xbox. I think it's called Battle Nexus. One of the unlockables in that is the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade game.
Really?
Yeah. So the game itself, the Ninja Turtles 2, again, I think it's called Battle Nexus for the Xbox. It also came out for the PlayStation 2 and the GameCube. So you've got a couple different formats that you can get it on. If you collect a special item, a special artifact in World 9, Episode 9, then when you take it back to April and she assesses the artifact, she goes, "Oh, this is the original arcade game," and then it unlocks the original arcade game and you can play it. And if you're on the Xbox, you can play it. I'm pretty sure you can play it 4-player.
Nice. I was actually playing the arcade game the other day at the arcade.
When did you first play the arcade game?
God.
Is that the time travel one?
Long time ago.
Long time ago. Give us a guesstimate. How old do you think you were? You don't have to guess the year. Just how old do you think you were?
Gotta be about at least 10 or 11 or 12, something like that, somewhere in that range. I think they had it at the 7-Eleven by my house. Yeah, so it had to be something around, about in the early 90s, like 91, 92, I think. So, yeah, long.
I think it was before that. For some reason.
Yeah. I can't remember that far back anymore, what exact years. But.
Well, I remember Ninja Turtles is probably... There are only 2 arcade games that I ever beat in the actual arcade. Anything that I played on MAME or anything that I played through emulation or with save states or whatever in like a compilation or a bonus unlockable or whatever, I don't count. That's okay, buddy. Don't worry about it. My son was looking for Ninja Turtles 3, the movie, because I found out in preparing for this episode, I've lost 2 Ninja Turtle artifacts. I've lost the Vanilla Ice VHS tape with the Ninja Turtle rap. That I'm like crying a river over.
Yeah,
I know, it's like terrible. I'm devastated. The other one is Ninja Turtles 3. Yeah, Ninja Rap. But yeah, the other one was Ninja Turtles 3, the movie. But as I was saying before, though, the only 2 games that I've actually beaten in an arcade itself were Ninja Turtles, the first one, and The Simpsons, the arcade game. And Ninja Turtles, I don't even want to venture a guess how much money it took me to beat that game. But I know that from start to finish, I can finish Simpsons in about $2.25 every time, assuming it's on a quarter per play.
Yeah.
So, but Ninja Turtles, what happened was, I don't remember how old I was either, but I was in high school, middle school, high school, somewhere around there, maybe even grade school, I don't remember. But I was at my friend's house. It was his birthday, and his dad's like, "All right, come on, son." Like, you know, him and a couple other friends. He's like, "I'm gonna take you guys to I don't remember what the place was, but we get there. It's a bar, right?" So his dad took all of us like underage kids to like a bar, right? And then he sits up on the bar and he goes, "All right, now I want you guys to let me be," and he reaches into his jacket. And he pulls out, this was the first time I ever was like, oh my goodness, those things are real. He took out like this big like satchel o' money. Like what you see in the cartoons or like in the movies where it's like this big like burlap sack that has like, you know, the
dollar sign on it.
Yeah, it's got like the horsehide, you know, tie around it, and it's got like it literally had like a dollar sign like on the side of it, right? He just takes it out of his jacket, drops it on the bar, and it just spills quarters like all over the place. And he goes, "Knock yourselves out." And then he ordered like a cold one from the bartender, right? And there were only 2 games there at this bar. There was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the arcade game, and there was a pinball game that had like a caveman type theme. And you know, some of the bonus games, I don't remember what the game actually was, but some of the bonus games on the pinball game was you could actually play this little like Pac-Man-like game on a video screen, but it was with a caveman like clubbing dinosaurs or something. But we beat Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles about 5 times. That was awesome. That was one of the best birthdays I ever spent in a bar.
I just picture little Chris playing in a bar. That's just amazing.
To this day, like, I don't remember. I'm like such a horrible friend. Like, I don't remember whose birthday it was. I want to say his name was Raymond. He was one of those friends where, like, you meet him, you know him for a while, and then they kind of move on. They go do other stuff. So I only knew him for a short period of time, but thank you so much for the gift of Ninja Turtles, the arcade game.
Yeah, I pretty much the same story. I beat 2 games too. I mean, The Simpsons and Ninja Turtles, and same thing. It was somebody's birthday party. We went to an arcade and played the hell out of it until we beat it. You know.
Wait a minute, Tyler, was it you?
It might have been.
You didn't live in upstate New York, did you?
No.
It wasn't you, but my goodness.
I think the arcade game I beat in the arcade was Lucky and Wild.
What? I haven't heard of those games.
Lucky and Wild is...
It's not that game you were talking about the other day about, like, raping women, is it?
No.
That's Cluster.
Oh, that was Loverboy. That was Loverboy.
Yeah, no. Lucky and Wild is 2-player game. You got one player, it's a sit-down game. One player, second player shooting, and the first player you're driving and shooting. So you're shooting through your windshield at, you know, criminals as you're driving on the road.
I've played that. I thought it was called something else. I don't remember. I played that game though.
It's a pretty rare game in the U.S. It's more I think it's another one of those released mainly in Japan games. But
so I have to admit, right? Although I do have all 3, you showed them off too. I've also got I've got all 3 of the Ninja Turtle games on NES. So, and for better or for worse, right? I love the first game, although I still stand by my statement. It's a jerk. It's a great game. It's just harder than piss. Like you have to use a Game Genie, or you're just never gonna beat it ever. If you can beat the actual game, right? Let us know. Drop a line down in the comments, and maybe we'll invite you on. We'll do a screen share, and maybe you can show us on a future episode you beating the game totally legit, no Game Genie. Until then, I don't believe that any human being can beat that game without a Game Genie.
Yeah, I can't even get close.
So Ninja Turtles 2 was pretty good. You're right. It wasn't exactly. kind of some issues there. It wasn't exactly like the arcade game. The graphics were definitely a step down. For me, I think what made the arcade game so amazing was that intro that I showed at the very beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, we were playing this on the Nintendo and getting our asses handed to us, right? And then you go by the arcade and you hear the Ninja Turtles theme song, which, not for nothing, like at the time, that to me was the most awesome theme song of like any cartoon show like of that era.
Yes.
So I mean, it just, you heard that and it was like, okay, the world must stop because I must watch this. And to hear that playing out of an arcade machine was like awesome. And then it didn't end there, right? You could pick which turtle you wanted to play as, and then when you picked the turtle, they actually had voices, and Rocksteady and Bebop had voices. And when you heard Shredder, it was the Shredder. You guys know who Shredder was in the original cartoon, right?
Yeah.
No.
No, I don't mean the character Shredder. I mean, you know who did the voice, right?
No.
Uncle Phil.
Getting into
Uncle Phil
Yes.
on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yes, yes.
That was one of his first acting gigs.
Really?
Yes.
Huh. Like in the technically the fourth movie, the cartoon movie, the guy who did the voice of Spun was Mako, the famous martial arts guy who died
Wow.
short. You know, he was in the movie Sidekicks of Jonathan Brandis.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he died shortly before, you know, they were finishing up production on the fourth movie. But
Yeah, James Avery was the name of the actor who played Shredder. Yeah, and rest his soul. Great actor, great guy. He passed away just recently as well.
yes.
But one of the games I couldn't get into, right? So I love Ninja Turtles 1, even though harder than piss. I love Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game. What was cool about the Nintendo one, like, I'm kind of torn on it. On the one hand, I love that they added additional stuff. They added some extra levels. They added some special moves that weren't in the arcade game. They extended the length of a bunch of the levels, so they're actually longer than they were in the arcade game. But for me, what was missing was like all the voice samples, the kick-ass opening music. I think for me, part of what made the arcade game like so great was at the time, nothing could touch arcade game graphics, not even computers.
Yeah.
And you know, the Nintendo did a pretty good job. Nintendo and Ultra, I think, actually made this one, because sometimes it was Konami, sometimes it was Ultra. Ultra made this one. They did a good job, but for me, they couldn't fully capture the experience of the arcade because of the graphical and sound limitations. And like you said, Mr. Nikon, the whole going from 4 players down to 2, I understand there were limitations. They probably just couldn't do it on the NES. We're lucky we got 2-player, probably.
Yeah, I can see that, yeah,
But, and then I guess Ninja Turtles 3 came along, and you've got this too, right, Mr. Nikon?
Yeah. Right here.
Like, is it just me, but, you know, I can understand how folks like Red and stuff didn't get too much into it, because anytime I try to play 3, I beat it once, but it was a chore. Not because it was hard, but because for some reason I fall asleep when I play this game.
It's, you know, it's very much like the second one, the arcade game for the NES. You know, it's like they just did another direct extension of it, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I own it too, and I always thought, I kind of thought it was just sort of like an extension of the second one. It was just like, what can we do with the same game engine, the same graphics? Let's make new levels.
Yeah.
It was kind of uninspired to me. I mean, that's just my take on it.
No, I absolutely agree with that. Uninspired, and what's tragic is they actually did on this one. They actually did add voice samples and things like that. You hit start and you hear "Cowabunga!" You know, you get killed and you hear "Shell Shock." I mean, they added a bunch of stuff into it, but not really anything that kind of, you know, added to the charm, I guess. And they didn't really introduce any new game mechanics, so it was kind of like, you know, it wasn't a bad game. If you like the second game and you don't overplay it, I think what did it for me is I played the arcade game to completion. I'd played the NES version of the arcade game to completion. So I'd just done so much of that brand of Ninja Turtles, I think I just got burned out on it. But it sounds like that wasn't an uncommon problem, though.
Yeah.
So years go by, right? Years go by, Super Nintendo comes out, and just before it came out on Super Nintendo, right, we get another arcade game with a new kicking opening soundtrack, right? And the graphics are way better, and the Turtles are totally back. Turtles in Time is what I'm talking about. They have this at Galloping Ghost?
Yeah, they do. They got it in the same cabinet as the original arcade game. You just got a little toggle switch you could switch between the two games. So, they've got a lot of cabinets like that.
Yeah, I really dug the Turtles in Time, and then that was one of the few cases where, like, when they came out for the Super Nintendo, they captured the entire essence of the arcade game, in my opinion. They really knocked it out of the park with this one. The voice samples came over, the graphics mostly came over, even though the SNES wasn't as powerful as the arcades. They did like what they did with the Nintendo version. They extended levels, they added extra moves, they added extra levels that weren't in the original. About the only thing that didn't make it over was the soundtrack, the music from the arcade game, because they couldn't get the license for Super Nintendo. But everything else made it over, and the only bummer, though, is, Mr. Nikon, you can guess what it is, right? What's the only beef?
It's not 4-player again.
Not a 4-player game.
But Super Nintendo didn't really have too many 4-player games. I mean, they had that, there was that multiplayer adapter for it that was not made by Nintendo, but only worked on, I think, what, 2 or 3 games or something like that?
Yeah, I think it worked on Tecmo Super Bowl, and I think it worked on Bomberman.
Yeah. NBA Jam.
NBA Jam it worked on, too? Mm-hmm. Sweet. Yeah, I want to say Hudson Soft made that.
It was Hudson.
And they made it specifically originally for Bomberman.
Yes.
But I think, you know, I think the deal is, right, the Super Nintendo was an interesting beast because it had a lot of... Nintendo went a different direction than Genesis. When Sega developed the Genesis, many years ahead of the Super Nintendo, it's worth stating, they future-proofed their console by just putting a wickedly fast, at the time, processor in it. Nintendo tried to future-proof their console by going with a lower-powered processor, but special graphics co-processing capabilities, things like Mode 7, and then later things that they built into the cartridges like Super FX and things like that. So, you know, Nintendo... I think the reason that we didn't see a lot of 4-player games, I mean, if you remember, Final Fight, when it first came out, was only a 1-player game. Mm-hmm. And part of that was, in the arcade, obviously it was 2-player simultaneous, but when it came out for the Super Nintendo, it was 1-player. And then they came out with another version of it called Final Fight Guy. And everybody's like, okay, great, now it's 2-player. No, like, they remade the original game, only now you were the character that they chopped out of the first game. It was the exact same game, only you play it as the other player. So it was kind of like, okay, so what was our argument wasn't I couldn't play through the same game as the other guy. The argument was my friend doesn't want to watch me play Final Fight. He wants to play Final Fight with me. So, yeah. But I think the processing power, I think it took a while for them to figure out how to get such underpowered CPU to offload enough onto the extra graphics capabilities to actually make 2-player games like that viable.
Well, Final Fight was a launch title, wasn't it?
It was. So I'm sure there was a certain amount of like them just not having the time to do it as well. And I guess that's what I was getting at. It's like they didn't. If you were gonna have a game like Final Fight on SNES and have it be a 2-player tour de force, you really were gonna have to work for it.
Yeah. Versus
with the Genesis, you know, they were doing 2-player beat 'em up style. I mean, heck, Golden Axe, right? How long had that been out? Like years before Final Fight.
Yeah.
So Genesis just had it down. Like, just throw it all at the processor. You know, blast processing, man. You can take it.
Yeah, but
So, an unsung one. Do any of you guys have this? I apologize. Mine has like a rental store label on it because it came from a rental store. But Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for the Sega Genesis, the Hyperstone Heist.
not yet. I think that's on my list of games to get. So
This game is fantastic. I have to thank my wife for this one. Her grandpa, when he was alive, ran a and when they were popular, ran a video rental store. And one of the things that he gifted to us on his passing was the Sega Genesis and the entire Genesis library of the rental store. So, really cool, but I wish I could have gotten it through better means because her grandfather was just a great, great guy. But this game is often, well, it was often overlooked until people couldn't get a hold of this game. Because the Genesis version of Ninja Turtles was considered the Kmart version of Turtles in Time. It's not Turtles in Time, although it uses some of the levels from Turtles in Time. Hyperstone Heist is kind of like a mashup. It borrows stuff from the first arcade game, from Turtles in Time, and then it throws a bunch of new stuff in there. So I think people just thought this was like kind of like a half-baked attempt. The other thing, too, is a lot of people played Hyperstone Heist on easy because no one realized, myself included, that if you played the game on medium and hard, it opened more levels. So it didn't just throw more enemies at you and make you take more damage. It actually, like, the game is actually a longer game, and you'll actually get more levels to play through if you play it on the harder difficulty levels. So what people are now starting to realize is you actually get more game out of the Genesis version than out of the Turtles in Time one. So it's not just pick this up because you can't get a hold of this. This thing stands pretty damn well on its own, even though it's not Turtles in Time. So if you've got both consoles, you owe it to yourself to get both.
Interesting.
Everything, too, is I wanted to throw out there, these two games, because they're based on arcade games, Nintendo one's not so much, but the Super Nintendo and the Sega Genesis version, if you have the Genesis arcade stick or the SNES Advantage, these games become way more playable. Because there are moves that you'll find yourselves, like, when I was using the gamepad, there was a lot of moves I'd find myself, like, accomplishing by accident, and I thought maybe, like, the game just randomizes it or whatever, because I'd try to reproduce the move and I just couldn't do it. And then when I actually had, like, an arcade stick, I was like, oh, wow, like, the timing and the sophistication of the move, it's kind of like some of the Mortal Kombat combos. Yeah, you could do them with a D-pad if you're, like, lightning fast, but some of them are really optimized and tuned for an arcade stick. So if you do have an arcade stick for your Super Nintendo or Sega Genesis, you're going to get way more playability out of both of those games because you'll be repeatedly doing moves that you just thought were like randomly thrown in. And then the other thing I noticed while I was playing was different enemies have weaknesses to different moves, kind of like what I was talking about with Mortal Kombat. I used to think, games like Turtles and Mortal Kombat were just button mash fests. As it turns out, different enemies are susceptible to different moves, and if it's a move you can only really perfectly execute each time with the arcade stick, you're going to get a lot farther in the game and enjoy it a lot more as you figure out each character's got their weakness, what's their weakness, and then you play to the moves that they're weak against. So just some tips I'll throw out there to anybody that has those games and wants to give them another shot or doesn't have them and really ought to. They're expensive, but they're worth it.
Yeah, it's crazy. I tried to account of how many games were released for like the Ninja Turtle genre. I think there's like almost like 45 like games. Little Tiger electronic handheld games.
Oh yeah, there was an outing. I think there were 3 released for the Game Boy. I only have the first one, but yeah, there were 3 released for the Game Boy. Did it ever come out on Game Gear? I don't think they ever went to Game Gear.
I don't think so.
There was some consoles they skipped, but
yeah,
I think every generation has had Ninja Turtles games, though. I don't think we've had a full generation that lacked some console getting a Ninja Turtle game.
Yeah, I don't think the N64 got a Ninja Turtle game.
Okay, what competed with N64 during that time?
PlayStation 1,
right?
Sega Saturn. Yeah, I think those two. That's it. Yeah.
So yeah, maybe you're right. That might be they might have skipped that particular generation, but they came back in force when PlayStation 2 and Xbox and GameCube were out. So, but it was a remaking. I guess the remade one's based on the new cartoon series. It was kind of cool. I played through a couple of them on the Xbox. What was great was for that generation, you know, the Xbox games, all the cutscenes you're basically, they made an episode of Ninja Turtles for you to play through on the Xbox. So you got your own cutscenes done by the same animators. It's the same voice actors of that generation of show, not the original cartoon, but the second cartoon. And the only thing that sucks is once you get into the actual game, the mechanics of it blow. They're not. It's kind of clunky. It's definitely not Turtles arcade game. They tried to do a 3D thing. For me, it didn't quite work out. I just grinded through the second and third one so that I could unlock. The second game for the Xbox, GameCube, and PS2 will unlock the Ninja Turtles arcade game. The third game for the Xbox, GameCube, and PS3 or PS2 rather will actually unlock Turtles in Time, the arcade game.
it's good to know.
Yeah, so it's worth picking up those two games just to get the arcade editions. Although something to know is, for whatever reason, and this kind of makes me rage, and Red has talked about this before, they're not perfect conversions of the original arcade games. It's the same exact game code, but for licensing reasons, they had to go without certain actor voices and voiceovers. So, humph. And they even had to change some of the music for some of the levels. So that was kind of a bummer. Because those two games I felt were masterpieces as is.
Yeah, it's the whole licensing with this music stuff. Sometimes it's a little weird, but so
we've got a few minutes left. I think it's getting close to time to wrap up, but we usually do a special thing. The special thing that I want to actually show you guys today is there is a fan-made Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles the arcade game 3. It is a free download. I will provide a link below after the show is done, and you guys can go and check that out. It uses the, have you heard of the Beats of Rage engine?
That one, no.
Also known as the BOR engine. There's a open source fighting game engine. It's like a Double Dragon / Streets of Rage type engine called Beats of Rage. And a lot of, at first, what we got like a decade ago is we got a bunch of like crappily reskinned, knockoffs of Streets of Rage. However, over the last 10 years, there's been dozens of just really, really great spin-off games using that engine, and this is just one of them. So I was going to do a bit of a screen share and show you guys some of the game. I am going to do the sound off though because he's got some. The music is really cool, but I'm pretty sure we don't have a license for it. So.
Okay.
I'm going to switch over to my
thing.
I'm going to switch over to, I'm going to show my desktop, and I'm going to switch my camera to Manycam. I'm experimenting with some new, I'm experimenting with some nifty new software now. For different ways to screencast. We saw some screen share stuff of Mario earlier, and we did some stuff of other things, Cat Mario and stuff like that was kind of choppy. There's different software out there that lets us play at higher frame rate, but it costs money. So we're gonna see about which one of them is worth it the most. There's James Avery.
James Avery.
James Avery, thank you so much for so many hilarious episodes of, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and thank you for being an awesome, awesome villain in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, man.
Oh, speaking about the music, for the movies, the first one had Partners in Crime rapping Turtle Power.
Yeah.
The second one had Vanilla Ice doing Ninja Rap. Like, which one of the two are the better one? What do you guys say?
I don't know.
That's a really...
It's a loaded question.
That is a very loaded question. I think I'm gonna I think I'm going to potentially get myself in trouble here, as well as date myself, and say I didn't think Vanilla Ice was bad. He just needed more than 2 good songs. One of them was Ice Ice Baby. I actually thought that was pretty decent, although it was horribly overplayed on the radio. And then the other one that I thought was good was obviously Ninja Rap, even though he just says Ninja Rap over and over again.
Yeah, I just think the way that was presented in the movie was so cheesy. They just happen to go into some nightclub that's right next to the dump, and there's a show going on. Myself, I like the Partners in Crime version better. All
right, I got a weird. This is open source free software, so sometimes it's glitchy. I apologize. It's not open source, but it's free software. But I didn't. There we go. I'm using the as I usually do. I'm using the NES 30 to play this. Afterwards, I actually have an NES controller up here today, so I can show you just how similar it is. Do you see my Ninja Turtles?
Yes.
All right. I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna just really quick turn the sound to something down low. There we go. All right. It's got some really cool video options that you can do here. I am running it in a window, but you can do it full screen. It has filters on it where you can do anti-aliasing and smoothing and all that kind of nifty stuff if you're full screen. You've got different control options, so you can use the keyboard or you can use the joystick or a gamepad if you have one. It's not a full game. This is like an open beta. So I'll provide the link. Anybody can download this and play it, but the thing to keep in mind is he's only got one level really finished, and then the rest of it is kind of like level tests. Like he's got a surf level, he's got a river level, and then he's even got a water level. And the water level, anybody that's played Ninja Turtles for the Nintendo, it is a throwback to those cursed swimming levels where you had to swim through the seaweed without touching it.
Oi.
You remember? Did you ever get that far, Tyler?
Yeah, I did.
You got to swim through the seaweed. You got to defuse the bombs, and you got to time them. Very, very precise. They lovingly recreated that with arcade graphics here. So his idea was he wanted to have an arcade game that kind of was the best of all worlds. So he took elements from each Ninja Turtles game that he thought was really good and put them all together in this. The other thing that's worth mentioning is in addition to being able to choose the 4 Ninja Turtles, he also added you could play as the Foot.
Huh.
You could play as, I have to admit, I don't know who this guy is.
Oh, God, what's their name? I forget their names.
No idea.
But you can play as, this is Toka, I believe. Razor. And by the way, I might have gotten those names backwards. But, and then Rocksteady and Bebop.
Nice.
So just because I want to do something different and kind of show off the game engine here, I'm going to play the game as Rocksteady.
See, it very starts. See, it starts a lot like Teenage Mutant 3, the NES game.
Yeah, it does.
Turtles are on vacation. Oh, April's on TV.
Yep. Now, one of the things, because this is still a work in progress, that I think is kind of funny, no matter what character you pick, they all use turtle voices. So, like, when I picked Rocksteady, he said Cowabunga. And when he dies, he says Shell Shock. It's kind of funny. But you can do all his moves from the arcade game. I'm getting my butt kicked because the truth is Rocksteady doesn't really have a lot of moves. He can kick and he can shoot, but I can't figure out how to get the firing to work. But the guy over here is stuck waiting for him. Oh, he got stuck behind the beach ball.
I hate when that happens.
But this level is, like you already pointed out, this level is very much like an up-res version of the first level from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3.
Yes.
So it is 4-player. I don't know if you recognize that, if you noticed up in the top.
Yeah.
So if you've got 4 controllers, this is the way to get your 4-player Ninja Turtles game on.
Or go and buy the arcade cabinet and do it that way.
I don't know what that deal is there. I'm like a kicking fiend, but I'm getting my butt handed to me. I'm gonna try to actually. I'm gonna end the game and show you like a different level. I'm also gonna pick a better character than. Come on. What's secret, dude?
I don't know.
I can't get the secret. It doesn't let me select secret. But it's got the winners don't use drugs. White Dragon is the handle of the guy that did it. Gonna do a new game. We're gonna do the. I'll show you the water level, and I'll be. Who should I be?
Donatello.
Yeah.
All right, Donatello. Normally you do machines. Today you're gonna do swimming. All right, how do I? There we go. Nice. That's what usually happened in the other game too. Oh, not that electrocute you too? Nice. This is like playing Cat Mario. Alright. Dude, is that the whole game? That's the whole swimming area. You can swim around and get electrocuted.
Sounds fun.
That's awesome. Alright. As fun as that is, it'll be cool to see when he puts together like a whole level with that. Alright, let's see. We've also got, oops, I didn't mean to continue. Back. It's kind of hard to tell which option I have selected. I'm going to try the surf level. And for that one, let's be Michelangelo. What do you think? Oh, that's pretty cool. So you can get up on the waves.
Nice.
Now they do have all the moves from all the games. So what's really cool is that a lot of people don't know it, but in Turtles in Time there was a move on the SNES where like you could grab the person and throw them at the screen.
I remember that one.
The Super Nintendo version is the only version of the game where you can do that. Because Nintendo wanted to show off their Mode 7 graphics processor. Alright, looks like that's all I can do on the surf level so far. So some of them, so that's Ninja Turtles, right? And some of them, I only showed a very little bit of the, switch back to my camera here. I only showed a little bit of the actual first level, the first arcade level, but you can play that first level all the way across the pier, all the way to the end. Pretty long level, actually. And you can play it all the way to the end where you fight Rocksteady and Bebop at the same time. So it's if you just want to check out the first level and see, what somebody's doing out there on their own, it definitely is going to be a pretty cool project to keep an eye on, because if the rest of the game comes together with the quality that the first level has, and if he puts in as many secrets as he, as he has already goodies with, like, being able to choose different characters and stuff, this could easily, become one of my favorites.
Yeah, I have to try that out. I gotta download that thing.
Yeah, and you can't argue with the price, right? Free.
Oh yeah. Free is good.
All right, so folks, last warning: if you find yourself going out to get Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Manhattan Project, right? Before you click buy it now, make sure you're not getting the Manhattan Project.
Oh God.
This is not a good movie. This is a good video game. Don't get the two mixed up. So, and with that, folks, this has been Retro Reload. We want to thank you guys for tuning in. We hope that you learned something new about the Ninja Turtle franchise. If there's anything that we missed that you would like us to cover in a future episode, or anything that you think that we got wrong or incomplete, drop us some feedback in the comments.
Yes.
Like and share us on the Facebooks and the Twitters.
Subscribe to the YouTube channel.
Absolutely right. So next week we'll be covering, actually on Thursday, I think, Mr. Nikon will be covering the Hello Kitty franchise.
Maybe.
All right.
Yeah, Thursday I'm gonna go more into the 4-player games. The old multiplayer games on the older systems. So.
Excellent. I look forward to whatever it is that you guys have in store. So even if it's Hello Kitty.
I still had all my old Hello Kitty stuff from when I was a kid.
I did hear that there's going to be a special musical number.
Yes, but I'm still working on that.
I'm looking forward to that special musical number, and I think one of our viewers / participants' name starts with Cash and ends with O is also looking forward to it.
Yes.
All right.
Yep. Anyway, thank you all for watching. So watch us, tune in next week. Or if you watch us on the post live, tune in live sometimes if you don't get to watch us live now. Thank you all for watching.
Yeah.
Good night.